Okay, for those of you who have been paying attention, there is a new king of the IMDb bottom 100. New one in the number one slot. And I just went to go see it in theaters because it's still out in some. And that would be Saving Christmas, starring Kirk Cameron. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why this tanked so fast and is holding the number one spot by a pretty significant margin, too. And that is primarily due to things that don't have to do with the movie itself. A lot of it does, but some of it doesn't. First off, Kirk Cameron is a massive dickhead. He's not a popular figure in Hollywood and is constantly saying misogynistic or homophobic things, which has earned him a lot of enemies, and people are just going to dislike him because of that. I call that the Uwe Boll effect of being a dickhead, affecting your ratings online. So yeah, he's got that going against him for sure. So even if this had nothing wrong with the movie itself, it would have gotten low rankings just because he's a dickhead, and this is a democratic ranking that anybody could vote in. The next thing is, after the initial critical reviews came back overwhelmingly negative, he tried to basically rig the votes of Rotten Tomatoes, because clearly he doesn't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. Rotten Tomatoes is partially a review aggregator of professional reviews, which is the Rotten Tomatoes score that judges whether it's fresh or rotten. Those are only counted, it's sort of the ratio of good reviews to bad reviews, and it's only professional critics. And that's what judges whether it's a fresh or rotten movie. There's also an audience score of users that's more like the IMDb rankings, honestly, where anybody can vote, and it's just called the audience score of the general population, sort of consensus on it. And he was thinking that the movie could be fresh if he got a bunch of his fans to go vote positive for it. The only thing that could have affected was the audience score, but really the principle of trying to, vote rig, pretty much just pissed off the internet. And not only did his critical reviews all come back overwhelmingly negative, because they would, because this movie's horrible, but also the users were really pissed off about that, and even though it raised his audience score a little bit, it then tanked back down. And the side effect of that is, because there's a pretty significant cross-interest in the communities of Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, the rankings in IMDb went way, way down, way, way fast. I'm honestly pretty sure a lot of those people never saw the movie and just did it on principle. That said, there are more reasons why this movie is bad and why it got tanked. The next one is that the actual message of this movie, at first glance you would think this is a war on Christmas movie talking about how bad atheists are or whatever. It's not. It's actually aimed at his fellow evangelical Christians that are anti the modern version of Christmas, that are anti-materialism or that sort of thing, that think that it's strayed and is heretical now to the true meaning of Christmas. So he's dividing his own camp with the mission of this movie. So that's obviously going to piss off a lot of people that would otherwise perhaps support something he's doing. So yeah, the very, thesis of this movie is going to piss off people that were already in his corner, which is a mighty small and shrinking corner. So yeah. I haven't even gotten into the content of this movie yet. That's all just context to why this movie tanked. The movie itself is also justifiably, understandably, super bad. Structurally, it's really, really lazily done. It's basically Kirk Cameron. It feels like his character's sort of stream of consciousness trying to justify a lot of the more secular and material aspects of modern Christmas with his evangelical feels. He does this through having a conversation with a straw man character in true Platonic Socratic style, who is so badly written. He's the least believable character ever. And they just go through sort of a bullet list, more or less, of things that are not Christmassy enough about Christmas, and how they are actually totes Christian. This totally ignores actual facts about things. They're just sort of improv justifications. Like things that nutcrackers are supposed to be representative of soldiers hunting down the baby Jesus. About, I don't know, what else did he try to justify? Christmas trees is actually the tree of life from Genesis, and that presents are supposed to represent the skyline of a New Jerusalem or whatever. Really bad justifications for things, frankly. But, I mean, he's trying to reconcile stuff. He clearly likes the material, hedonistic aspects of Christmas and wants to justify it with his stringent, excessive, not very moral code. Whatever, don't care. But yeah, he particularly takes a lot of shots at a lot of the pagan roots of a lot of customs that have become associated with Christmas and tries to dismiss them outright without actually like having any reason for doing that or anything to support his claims. But the character who he's talking to never like challenges him on anything, so whatever. So yeah, it's the structure again. Like, not only is stuff inaccurate, that was going to happen. It's a Kirk Cameron movie. But the structure is such in a way that most of the movie is kind of flashbacks. It really feels like a visual companion to a sermon more than it feels like a plot. Most of the movie is this conversation in flashbacks trying to justify these various things. And it's very, very clear, really early on, they're trying to pad out the runtime of this thing. There are conversations that don't need to happen. There's an extended dance sequence towards the end of the movie that could easily have run over the credits, but whatever. They just decide to spend minutes and minutes of watching people dance. Really badly at that. There's also, like, accessory characters outside of the two central ones played by Kirk Cameron and that other guy. They just don't, like... I think one of the central characters only gets, like, 3 lines in the whole movie. But yeah, there's one character who is in the movie for no reason I can figure out, who is just black stereotype because we need a black stereotype in this movie, I guess. It's just, everything's so lazy. It feels like they just wanted to cobble this thing together as quickly as possible. Really bad. It's just so bad. Like, again, a lot of the reason this tanked is because of Kirk Cameron just being a dickhead and his personality turning people off, something I like to call the Uwe Boll effect, if I haven't mentioned that. But yeah, the movie is just structurally bad, feels rushed. There's one scene where 2 characters are having a filler conversation that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, where at one point they hold cups over their mouths under the guise of secrecy, but what happens really is that they do this so that they can use ADR dialogue, like recorded dialogue after the fact, to fill out almost the entire scene. And the best I can figure is they didn't have anything written for that scene, but they needed to pad the runtime. So they did this creative thing so that they could come back later and write the scene. That has to be why that happened. And the scene has nothing to do with anything. It's got a couple of jabs at Fox News, weirdly. War on Christmas, conspiracy theories. That has nothing to do with the rest of the movie at all. Just 2 accessory characters that didn't need to be there that have a quick conversation about whatever. Yeah, you can feel that it has filler. Like, this movie feels so long because of how badly structured it is. But yeah, this is, all in all, this is not the worst movie of all time. There's some half-decent shots here and there throughout the movie. For all of the bad things in it, there are some half-competently done things. And, like, the production values overall are not bad, which is something to say about it, because that's not the case with a lot of these movies I've seen. So yeah, this is not the worst movie of all time, which that's something that you need to keep in mind. Something you learn about the bottom 100 from doing it is that it's a democratic ranking, and what it is sort of showing you is not an objective ranking of the worst movies of all time. It's showing you a ranking of the public perception of what the worst movies of all time are at any given moment. It is a living and ever-changing list because of its democratic nature. So instead of thinking about it as this super list of the absolute worst movies of all time, think of it as like a snapshot of what is the public zeitgeist sort of opinion of bad movies. What is everyone's opinion as the worst movie right now? And that's how it do. I mean, that's why Gun Day previously was able to tank to the bottom, was because of a social media campaign to sink it for a number of reasons. But if you think of the bottom 100 as less of an objective super list, again, of the worst movies of all time, and don't think of it like that. It's not a master list. It is sort of a sociological look at public opinion. And you just got to treat it like that, and it's interesting. But you can't look at it as any more than that. So yeah, Saving Christmas is currently sitting at the bottom by a pretty significant margin, with Birdemic and Gun Day right behind it. We'll see how long it stays down there. I think it's only a matter of time, really, before something takes it over. It's the bad movie of the minute. He pissed off enough people from being an asshole and bad, unethical practices of trying to get votes rigged. Whatever. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of good things to say about it. I mean, it's incompetently done for sure, but not the worst movie ever. Not even close. I mean, it might be able to break into the bottom 100 of an objective list. Probably not. Even if you limited it to theatrical and public, like, movies that are well known enough. Yeah, it's bad, and I don't recommend going to see it just because there's not a lot of entertainment value to be had, unless you're really into counter-apologetics and want to make your head explode. Is probably the only reason I would think to go watch this. I'm not personally, but I could even tell these justifications are just outlandish for some of these things. But yeah, that's what I gotta say about Saving Christmas. It's not good.
Do you ever feel like Christmas has been hijacked?
Hey, where's Christian? How's he doing? Is he okay?
Oh, he's fine, really. He's just not into Christmas this year, that's all.
By all the commercialism and those who want to replace Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays or Season's Greetings, whatever that means.
You okay?
This is not what Christmas is all about.
Some want to pull down every manger scene and tell us why our favorite Christmas traditions are wrong.
Newsflash, not in the Bible. That's a pagan idol symbol. It was the winter solstice. Jesus was not born in December. It's exactly what the Druids did. It's like a carjacking, but like of our religion. And guess what? Santa got in the car, kicked Jesus out, and was like, rolling, 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 and took it.
Isn't it time somebody spoke up?
Everything you see inside there, it's all about Christmas. It's all about Jesus.
I know you love Christmas and you want it to be all about what it's all about. This Christmas, dive headfirst into all of the joy, the dancing, the celebration, the feasting, the imagination and traditions that glorify the true reason for the season.
Woo, work, Holy Spirit. Ha! Can I get an amen? I see the scales are falling off. Glory. Ah, glory.
Join me and my family, and together, let's put Christ back into Christmas.